Hello, everyone. Going to go over lesson 2.1 today. I think this should be a pretty quick one. We're not going to do like every type of thing they're asking for in this one. It's on properties and operations. So we're going to just kind of look at what the properties are. I'll kind of explain what type of problems you'd see on a test. So let's take a look here. Some of the properties, just so you know the words and what they mean, and basically the properties in math are basically things you can do that won't change your problems. So first of all, community property of addition and a community property multiplication. All that means is you can change the order in which you do those operations. There is not a commutative property of subtraction or division because order matters in those two. But addition and multiplication, it just means if you do 4 plus a -7 or -7 plus 4, you're going to get the same answer of a -3. Okay, if you multiply 8 times -5 or -5 times 8, it's still the same two numbers being multiplied. You'd get -40 for each. So that's the commutative property. Associative property means you can, if it's all addition or all multiplication, you can change the grouping in which you add or multiply things. So here, this is all addition. So we could either go 9 plus 6 and then plus 2. So that would equal 17. Or we could go 6 plus 2, which is 8, plus 9, and that's 17. Okay, so you can just change which 2 you add first. Same with multiplication. If we have 3 times 10 times 4, we could do the 3 times 10 first and then times 4, or we can do the 10 times 4 first and then times 3. Okay, so that's just commutative and associative property. Especially with what we're doing right now and you're using your calculators and stuff, it's not a huge deal. Because you're going to use your calculators a lot of time. What they're showing here is sometimes you can just do mental math quicker. So if we have 42 plus 5 plus 23, instead of doing the 42 plus 5 first, you could do the 42 plus 20. So you switch to order of the 5 and the 42, and then you'd actually add the 42 and 23. And the reason being that it ends in a 5. And a lot of times just adding is easier when things end in like 0 and 5s. Okay. Now, if this is just a real word problem and you need to add, I'm not going to have you do this and change the order and justify the steps and stuff like that. You'll see more what you're going to be asked of when you actually get the review. So we'll continue here, but a lot of these problems are going to wait till the review to do. There's going to be some just continuing practice on variable expressions and plugging in numbers. And here, what they're getting at is to try to get you to do more mental math and change the order. So when you plug in these numbers, you get 4 times -8 times 15. Well, they end up changing the order so that the 4 and the 15 are next to each other. And you multiply those, which is 60, which ends in a 0, which makes multiplication easier when you do it times -8. And 6 times -8 is -48, and then you have the 0, so you throw that on there. Again, you're probably going to do these with a calculator anyways. When you do these, I'm trying out my new writing pen here, so it's a little tricky here. You'll probably just use your calculator anyways. Okay, so let me try this here. I'm just going to try and do this. Get 2 times 7. Oh, that's wrong. Whoa. Yeah, I'm not used to this pen. Anyways, let's try this again. So inside the box here, no, I'm not used to this pen yet, so maybe I'm not going to use it yet. I'll try that more later. So if we're doing this, we're going to go 2, and then we get the 7, and plus 25. Maybe I should use the pen. That's really ugly. That's all in parentheses. And then we add 46. So you would do 2 times 7 is 14. And you have plus the 25. And plus 46. So you would do, you'd probably just use your calculator, but what they're saying is you could take the 14 and the 46, which is 60, and then add the 25 is 85. Okay. We're going to try this writing pen again. So we have 4, and in parentheses we have x squared, which is 7 squared, and then times 25. So what they're getting at here is, I just erased a bunch of the last problem. I'm still getting used to this pen. But anyways, they're going to say instead of multiplying these in the order that they are, well, first of all, you have 4, 7 squared is 49, and times 25. You could do, instead of 4 times 49 first, you could skip the order and do 4 times 25, which is 100, and then times the 49, which is 4,900. So that's just practice on that. Again, same down here, they're just showing you a way to simplify an expression, meaning combine as much things as you can. Here, usually you go in order left to right, but they're going to add the 5 and the 2 first, get 7, and then you have x plus 7. And we haven't looked at a lot at simplifying stuff, but you can't say that x plus 7 is 7x. Those are two separate things. You just leave it as x plus 7. Here it looks like you have to go 3 and then times 9y, but we don't know what y is. So we're just going to go, we can change the order and go 3 times 9 first, which is 27. And then we have the y. Okay. So if you're simplifying these, again, you don't have to try adding this or just say, nope, I can't add those, so I'm done. You can add the 6 and 7, it's just 13, so we get n plus 13. Here, even though it looks like 4 has to go times r and then times -3, it's all multiplication, so you can do 4 times the -3 first, it's -12, and then put the r on there. Okay. There's a couple more properties here, just so you know the words. It's not a huge deal, but the identity property of addition just means the sum of number and its additive identity, which is 0, just equals that number. So all it's saying is when you add 0 to something, you still get that number. For multiplication, that number is 1. When you multiply anything by 1, you just get that same number. Okay, so one type of problem maybe you'll have when we get to the review and the test is they'll show a problem and just say multiple choice, what property was used here. So here they're changing the grouping. Okay, so that was associative property. And you'll have your notes, you can look this up. Here they're adding 0 to something and getting that something. That's identity property of addition. Here they're multiplying 1 times something and getting that something. So that's identity property of multiplication. Here it's multiplication and they're just changing the order. Commutative property of multiplication. Here they're changing the grouping of the multiplication. So instead of going 2 times 6 first and then times 3, they're going 6 times 3 first, then times 2. That's associative property multiplication. And the last one, they're just changing the order. Instead of going Q plus a negative R, they're going negative R plus Q. That's community property of addition. So that's just kind of quickly running through the properties. On the study guide, they again have the definitions. They have some examples. I wouldn't be too worried about this and justifying your steps. Something like this you'll be able to need to do. Simplifying these you'll be able to need to do. Let's look at this last thing here on if you get a problem that says by a conversion factor, I'll still show you there's, I think, easier ways of doing this. It says African elephant, largest living land animal. Its average weight is 6 tons. What is the African elephant's average weight in pounds? Okay, so one thing you need to know is that 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. I'm not really a big fan of doing the conversion factor the way they do. I think using proportions is much easier. So if we say 1 ton is 2,000 pounds, that's an abbreviation for pounds, and this elephant is 6 tons, we want to know what this is here for pounds. This is the cross multiply and divide. We take this times this, which is 12,000, and divide by the other number, and we get 12,000 pounds. That's what I would use for these. Use proportions, which we'll look at more later on. But, you know, when you're doing this one down here for number 7, if you were going to try this one, just remember they're talking changing 3 years to months. Well, just remember 1 year is 12 months. And then you would set this up, well, if you have 3 years, and I'll let you finish that one if you want to, but then you just cross multiply and divide. Again, the answers are in the back of the study guide. A lot of these, I say you should do the practice and get really good at it. This one, I would just really say this is purely for extra credit. If you get the study guide, fine. You can wait till the review to see what type of problems you have. If you really want the extra credit, and you know, everything, any points you get helps. So if you want to do this for extra credit, go at it. You know, even if you just did this side, this would be using what they call the conversion factor. I would say use proportions, and then some more problems, you get good extra credit for that. So remember to send me a personal chat message saying you watched the video, and if you have any questions, let me know.